You're watching Newsday TV. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ken Bufa. A former custodian at the Winery Public Library has pled guilty to raping a teenage girl. Now there's calls for some of the library's board members to step down. Macy Eglin has this story.
The head custodian of the Winery Public Library, 51-year-old Kwesi McCorvey, accused of raping a 16-year-old in North Amityville, has pleaded guilty to the charges against him. Under the plea agreement, he'll be on probation for a year. And now the victim's lawyer is calling for change at the library.
How can you have a sexual offender or sexual predator working each and every day where our children come to read and learn?
The young woman says the sexual abuse happened between 2016 and 2018, and she says it often happened here at the library. In 2021, she notified the then director and filed a police report.
She claims the board knew of the wrongdoing and McCorvey was never disciplined. Newsday has reported that a confidential memo shows he kept his job for 17 months after she informed the library director, until McCorvey was suspended with pay after his arrest this past February. Her lawyer today demanding members of the board who knew of the allegations step down, leading to some tension.
This is the problem, ladies and gentlemen.
The problem is you
The
are
problem-
a liar, and
this is the problem.
And you're misleading this community.
Nancy Holliday is a former member of the library board, the current vice president of the Wyandanch School Board, and McCorvey's aunt.
We need more people who are vested in their community instead of being vested in their own family members who work here at the library. The trustees that were in charge here at the time and even now are responsible for doing the right thing.
The victim's lawyer has filed a notice of claim seeking $30 million in damages for gross negligence. We have reached out for comment from the library board and their attorney and have not heard back. Reporting for Newsday TV in Wyandanch, I'm Macy Eglin.
Former Babylon High School teacher has taken a plea deal after being accused of having sex with a student. The Suffolk DA says Timothy Harrison pleaded guilty to endangering the welfare of a child. Prosecutors say the 48-year-old had sex with a 15-year-old at his home back in 2013. The deal calls for Harrison to give up his teaching license. And she was accused of selling fake vaccination cards, and now the nurse practitioner has cut a deal with prosecutors that will prevent her from going to jail. Sherry Einhorn has the story.
These are the real COVID-19 vaccination cards issued during the pandemic when the vaccine was required by federal and state mandates for things like travel and employment. Amityville nurse practitioner Julie DeVono pled guilty today to what prosecutors describe as a cash for card scheme totaling $1.5 million, dumping out the vaccine instead of administering it to patients and then entering false data into the state's vaccination database. Prosecutors say DeVono ran the operation out of her Amityville healthcare clinic called Wild Child Pediatrics and Kids on Call between June 2021 and June 2022, charging $220 for a fake adult shot and $85 for a fake pediatric shot. Others in the practice were also charged criminally. Those cases are pending. In-court prosecutors said she used some of the money from the fake cards to pay off the mortgage on her Amityville home. She pled guilty to money laundering, forgery, and offering a false instrument, all of which are felonies. Under the plea deal, DeVono agreed to forfeit more than $1.2 million, surrender both of her nursing licenses and her corporation license, plus close her practice. Instead of doing any jail time, though, she will serve 840 hours of community service and be on probation for 5 years. DeVono's defense attorney said during the pandemic, many people disagreed with the government mandate requiring the vaccine in order to work.
We do not excuse anything that Julie did. However, it was the government interference with these personal liberties that fostered and created the issue in which she became complicit.
DeVono is due back in court for sentencing in November. I'm Sherry Einhorn for Newsday TV.
The organs of the teen who was struck and killed by a police cruiser have saved the lives of 5 people. The nonprofit Live On NY says Anthony Stenson's heart, lung, liver, kidneys, and pancreas went to people between the ages of 30 to 60 years old. The 8th grader was taken off life support earlier this week. The state attorney general is investigating the actions of the officer driving the car. And Hurricane Lee has weakened to a Category 1 storm, but they're still seeing effects here on the island. Meteorologist Bill Corbell has the latest.
Look at those waves along the South Shore. This out in the Hamptons as Hurricane Lee continues to surge northward in the Atlantic and producing big waves, even though it's far, far away. In fact, it's still well over 400 and 500 miles from us and will pass well east of us as we go through the next 24 hours. But the storm is getting bigger. It is getting weaker in terms of wind strength, but the winds are expanding. Early tomorrow morning, we're right on the edge of the tropical storm force winds, at least 39 miles per hour, even though the storm will be 250 or 300 miles east of us. So big storm, moving quickly though, and the weather will improve rather quickly, but we're going to have some problems, mainly water problems, some minor flooding, and of course the big surf. You're looking at those videos of the South Shore ocean beaches. Rainfall, maybe not. This is a forecast for tomorrow morning early. The storm is still maybe 250 or more miles east of us, the center, and the rain is just about here at Montauk Point. So let's review what we will see as Lee goes by. First of all, no rain. Maybe a shower on the east end, otherwise it's going to be dry. You'll say, what hurricane, unless you're out on the east end or looking at the water on the South Shore. We could still see some gusts over 40 miles per hour out on the Twin Forks. As for coastal flooding, we do have a new moon that will produce some minor flooding, along with the winds blowing some 1 to 2 foot inundation possible. North-facing shores, that'll be up in the Sound, also the northern parts of, say, Fire Island, facing into Great South Bay, and also in the Twin Forks. But the big impact, the waves. There's no getting around it. That high surf advisory continues through Saturday. Waves building to 10 to 16 feet. And with that, there's been some dune erosion. There will continue to be dune erosion and overwashes as our beaches get battered because of that storm, still far out to sea. But you know what? It's going to move quickly, and we're going to improve. You might even see some sunshine in the western part of the island tomorrow afternoon, and certainly Sunday looks nice. But let's take a look again, those big waves out on the South Shore. For NewsdayTV, I'm meteorologist Bill Corbell.
All right, let's take a look at your Long Island weather. Did you go outside today? It was gorgeous, man. Let's take a look at tomorrow now to see if we get another one, and we do. Temps in the 70s to mid 70s. It is cloudy overhead all day though.
Long Island weather is brought to you by the Canine Center.
Thinking about going to the wineries? Well, we can help you plan your visit with our exclusive Winery Finder. Elisa DiStefano has a story you'll see only in Newsday.
There are more than 40 wineries here on Long Island, and we have a new interactive, comprehensive Newsday guide called the Winery Finder. It will help you pick out the best match for you. Not all of Long Island's best-kept wine is found out east here in wine country. You could search by location. So if you want to stay centrally located, visit Del Vino in Northport, Harmony in St. James, or NCMA in Oceanside. Or pick the winery that matches your interest. There are fun, family-friendly fits, including Harb's Vineyard in Mattituck. Enjoy a tasting in the newly redecorated rustic wine barn. Or bring your wine with you into the Harb's Barnyard adventure right next door and let your kids visit the animals and play all day on 8 acres full of activities. If you're going with a group, Baiting Hollow Farm Vineyard has this large backyard catering to groups of 10 or more. Room for one more at this table? Absolutely. They have giant Jenga and cornhole. The newest addition is the Wineritaville Bar with frozen fish bowls. I can even join in the fun. Did you know they have non-alcoholic wine? And it's good too. And for the curious, at F&M Vineyards in Laurel, you can learn all about the winemaking process. Visit the vines. Learn what happens here in the fermentation room. And finish your experience with an exclusive tasting in the barrel room. Thank you. Whatever you're looking for on the Winery Finder, you'll find the perfect pairing. Elisa DiStefano, NewsdayTV.
Now to check out Newsday's Winery Finder, go to Newsday.com, click Get More below the Newsday TV video box.
Feed Me is brought to you by PC Richard & Son.
Newsday just rolled out its annual list of top 100 restaurants. Food critic Andy Berlin takes us to one of them called Paprika in today's Feed Me TV.
When the Newsday food team chooses our top 100 restaurants of Long Island, we pick places that we love, that we want to come back to, that excite us.
It's like a hidden meatball. It's even better because you didn't know it was there.
For me, that's Paprika. 2023 is the year of modern Israeli cuisine, and this new restaurant in Great Neck is the place to experience.
L'chaim. I grew up in Phoenix, but my family's from New York, and I always thought of Jewish food as New York deli. It's so exciting to see the flavors of Israel.
The Israeli cuisine is a very young cuisine that contains 100 different cultures in it. And of course, I added my touch.
Husband and wife team, Ronnie and David Sacken, took an old Italian restaurant and they're using the pizza oven to produce rustic flatbreads called laffa and North African tagines that reflect her Moroccan Jewish heritage.
So is this a dish in Israel, or is this something
It's a Syrian dish. I just added the tahini.
Open the present and you get a meatball prize.
It's rustic, it's meaty, it's creamy, it's vegetable-y. It is so good with the bread.
More and more people realize that Israeli food is everybody's food. And now when we serve food here, we see people come from different places. No matter where they come from, they feel connected with something.
Food and music always get people together. You kind of forget about all the politics and just look at each other and enjoy, and that's the most important thing.
And the food looks real good. Now, for more on Paprika and the top 100 list, go to Newsday.com. Click Get More below the Newsday TV video box.
We are the people that go to meetings, look at the documents for you. That means a lot to the people who influence policy. It means a lot to our readers.
Newsday, covering Long Island like no one else can.
You're watching Newsday TV. I'm Ken Bufa. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll leave you now with a look at your 7-day forecast.